likely cohort in this effort, Democratic Congressman Barney Frank of Massachusetts. Great. Thanks for your time tonight, Congressman.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks for a very thoughtful introduction.
Oh, I'm glad you like that. Did you figure out a way to cut military spending, however, with Sarah Palin and the United Arab Emirates saber-rattling?
Well, I would suggest to the United Arab Emirates that if they think America should keep up its military budget, I'd be willing to let them rent some of it. You know, this is really the epitome of the issue. We have some very wealthy nations that have decided that we should go fight their battles for them. And I want to deal with Iran, but this notion that everybody in the world cuts their military spending, has no military budget of their own, and they hide behind us, is crazy. And, you know, if you ask the American people what's unpopular in the budget, foreign aid always comes up high. The fact is that foreign aid of the kind that helps poor children or fights AIDS in Africa, that's not very much money. The most expensive form of foreign aid is the aid we give England and Denmark and Italy and Japan by allowing them to have a military budget that's very small because they hide behind us. And the time has come, frankly, let me put it this way, I think the most popular book in Europe and wealthy parts of Asia is Tom Sawyer. And it's time for us to stop painting the fence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you think maybe Congressman Paul has given progressives enough political cover that the president might include cuts or work this into his commission on spending?
I'm not sure the president would. It's the one area where I've been disappointed in the president. I think he gets intimidated by this notion that, oh, you look weak on defense. And by the way, I want to fight terrorism. But those nuclear carriers you talked about, which are extremely expensive, don't stop terrorists. Super-duper nuclear submarines don't fight terrorists. This money diverts resources from a focused effort on fighting terrorism. But the answer is yes, and here's what I think changes it, Keith. We're in a situation now where the deficit has to be cut. Everybody understands that. If we don't put military on the table, the extent to which we are defending Western Europe, I have no idea what we are defending them against. And if they were scared, they could spend their own money. We have 15,000 Marines on Okinawa. I think most people thought the Marines left Okinawa when John Wayne died, even though he never really went there himself. Here's the deal. If we don't cut that, then forget about environmental protection. Forget about waste Superfund sites. Forget about better health care. If, as you pointed out, if you don't cut the military, deficit reduction is coming. Everything else gets butchered. So I think the need to make some tough choices will finally focus my colleagues on this. And by the way, in addition to Ron Paul, I have Waller Jones, a very conservative Republican from North Carolina. The Cato Institute, which, as you know, is one of the leading intellectual advocates for conservatism, is part of the task force we put together. I think Americans are now going to understand either we allow the European allies to have defense budgets that are half of ours in percentage terms for their gross domestic product, or we make savage cuts in our own domestic programs, or excessive tax increases, because I'd like to see taxes go up some, but they can go up too high. And I think finally my colleagues will be forced to make that choice. Mr.
Jones, who you mentioned, as I recall, is the originator of the Freedom Fries thing during the run-up to the Iraq War. But now let me ask you the obligatory, not in my own backyard, devil's advocate question, and it's your backyard, and in some respect it's my backyard too. Secretary Gates told Congress, don't fund a backup alternate engine for the F-35. It's not needed. But the engine, which is made by the parent company of the network that I work for, GE, brings jobs to Massachusetts, and you support it. And if you can't cut local military spending, how's the nation going to cut national military spending?
Well, two things. First of all, I am for cutting, and it becomes easier politically, but also we don't get any jobs out of Marines in Okinawa and bases all over the world. Secondly, I've said about the F-35 this, I would vote to cut the whole program. I have a twofold approach to military spending. I will vote to cut the weapons. I voted to cut the F-22 and help lead the fight to kill it, even though some of that was done in Massachusetts. Once the decision is to build it, then I'm going to be obligated to support some of it going in my area. But I would vote tomorrow to cut out the whole F-35 program. I think it is unnecessary and does nothing to advance our security.
I imagine it would also be easier to do that as part of a comprehensive cutting of the program, of the entire budget.
The key is, you know, if you do this weapon by weapon, you lose, because we can't concede to the defense establishment the need for America to be everywhere and protect everybody. Once you concede that, then you're fighting a losing battle weapon by weapon. What we have to say is, let's protect our national security interests. Let's be available for those few allies, Democratic allies, that are genuinely menaced. But that doesn't involve most of our spending and most of our military bases. We have military bases. Walter Jones makes this point. Hundreds of bases in 38 countries that do not, in most of those cases, advance America's security. And then, of course, you and I both agree, we have not only wasted $1 trillion in Iraq, but damaged America in the process. So we paid $1 trillion to lose American lives and damage our ability to influence the world in a constructive way.
Well put. In the issue of foreign military aid, well put as well. Congressman Barney Frank, Democrat of Massachusetts. As always, a pleasure, sir. Thanks for your time.